up, everybody? Thank you so much for clicking the link and following the podcast and checking it out. This week, I got to tell you, this is a good one. This is probably my favorite. I feel like it's really diving into the movies that are making us into the people that we are. This Kung Fu Panda, who would have thought? But like I said last week on the podcast, I didn't expect a whole lot from this series going into it the first time, and let alone going into it again with this rewatch with the boys. But I tell you what, the conversations that came out of it, the feelings that came out of it, the focus of each movie on a particular part of kind of just the human emotion and the human experience just really brought a whole bunch of fun conversation. And I hope you're excited because we're excited. I'm excited. It was a lot of fun. I would ask you once again, let you know we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify Podcasts, we're on all the other places that podcasts are, including YouTube. Please check us out. Please forward this or share this podcast with you and your friends, especially those friends that have kids around elementary age to middle school, high school. I feel like it's a great way to engage with the entertainment that we're watching, and not just kind of take it in, but actually listen, learn from it, grow from it. It's a huge thing that we try to do with our family, and we think that others can benefit from that. So any shares you can offer us would be amazing. Check us out on Instagram as well. That's where we post a bunch of other content, kind of what's upcoming, those kind of things. That's our main channel for sharing about the podcast. So if you can jump on there, give us a like, give us a follow, that'd be amazing. Well, you know what, let's just jump into it, because this is a good one. I'll just let the boys take it away. All right, we are back, and I am here with the boys. And let's go ahead and start off by introducing ourselves. I am Sprang, and I am the dad.
I'm Jacob. I'm 13.
I'm Connor. I'm 13.
I'm Zeke, and I'm 10.
I'm Colton, and I'm 11.
And we are here to talk about a fun movie series that I think it surprised some of us. I know it surprised me, and I think it surprised Jacob too, and Colton. So the series that we're talking through is Kung Fu Panda. And I'll be honest, I hadn't seen this in a while, and I didn't really know what to expect when we watched through it. So when we said we were going to do Kung Fu Panda series, Colton, you weren't very excited about it, right?
Yeah, because I only watched one Kung Fu Panda movie before that, and it was really boring. So I thought they were all going to be boring.
Okay, so were they all boring this time?
No. The one movie that I didn't like was the only movie that I watched.
Oh, okay. Before?
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Jacob?
It really surprised me. I thought it was just gonna be like another kids series, but it's actually really entertaining. I don't know why, but
Oh, it's because of that belly noise. Boom.
The belly noise makes it entertaining?
Yep.
What about you, Zeke? What were your overall thoughts of the Kung Fu Panda? Did you like it before? Did you like it more this time?
So one time when I was in the second or third grade, I watched Kung Fu Panda 1, and I was just listening to it. We could play on our Chromebooks, and I just played cool math games the entire time because the teacher let us, and we got to watch Kung Fu Panda 1. I didn't really think it was that cool because I just wasn't really listening, but now that I was actively listening, it was very entertaining, and it was fun. Cool.
Nice. What about you, Connor? Overall thoughts?
I really liked it, and I liked the first one. And funny story, so we had this old. It was Dad's. It was like a screen. You could pull it. It's like a laptop, and then you put a disc inside it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching Kung Fu Panda 3, I think, and it got boring, so I just skipped it and kept skipping. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but this time, watching through all three, what'd you think? Overall thoughts?
Oh, it was really good.
I feel the same way. Like I was kind of like with Jacob. I just felt like, it's just another kids movie. I hadn't seen them. I'd seen them all, but I hadn't seen them in a while. And I think watching them succinctly, like we did, like we watched them pretty much, three nights. not 3 nights in a row, but kind of the 3 nights that we were watching
It was
movies.
like one on the weekend, one on the week, and then on the next weekend.
Watching them that close together, I felt like it really kind of helped piece the themes together, so that we could kind of grab hold of what's the point of each movie. So let's start talking through the movies themselves, and I want you to be thinking while somebody else is talking. If you're not talking, I want you to be thinking about kind of one of the major things that stood out, either a theme or a scene or something that grabbed your attention that made you really, really like that movie. Even if you didn't like the movie, what's one thing that you liked about that movie? So let's start with some details around the movie. So give us the director, and then give us a couple of the top actors there, Colton.
The director is Mark Osborne and one other, and some of the actors are Jack Black played Poe, and Ian McShane played Tai Lung, and I got a 7.6.
Nice. So Jacob, why don't you go first? What would you say is the main idea of the first movie? Give us like a quick summary of the journey for Poe in the first movie.
So he starts off with his dad, and he's a goose, and then Poe is a panda, so that doesn't really make sense, but he doesn't mind. And he starts off at a ramen shop, and then he's like really into kung fu, and like the 5 top ninjas or kung fu people in the village, and so he goes to this event, and it's where they choose the next dragon warrior, and he gets picked, and everybody's like confused and doesn't know what's going on, and he's getting all this like bad rep because he's a panda, and pandas don't really fight. So he does that, he trains for a while, and then he gets really like good at kung fu.
One of the other reasons why possibly the people were kind of razzing him about the fact that he got chosen as a dragon warrior. Had he ever done kung fu before?
Well, like in the bathtub, I guess.
Okay, so he played around, but he wasn't like training, and he wasn't. I'm sure that they were probably expecting one of the top 5 people to be chosen as the dragon warrior, right?
Yeah.
And so this time it's like some rando, it'd be like the All-Star game, which is coming out. I think maybe it just happened as this podcast is dropping, the NBA All-Star game, and like some dude from high school gets picked to play with LeBron James on the All-Star team. It'd be like, wait, who's this guy? And why is Steph Curry on the bench when this guy's a nobody? Like, right? That's kind of the idea that they were going with. So I know that the Ian McShane did the voice of the main bad guy. What was the main bad guy? What type of animal was it?
I think he was a tiger.
Like a tiger or a jaguar or something? I knew it was some sort of cat.
His name's
It
Tyler.
was a white leopard. It was a leopard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Snow leopard. I thought it was a lynx, but it's
Okay.
not.
I remembered seeing that. I was actually away when you guys watched this one, but I remember that was the one that stuck out to me as the most prevalent one for me. I kept thinking the main villain was that jaguar type character who's trying to come back and become Dragon Warrior or take down the 5. Is that what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then what happens when Poe does the whole training montage and he gets his skills up and all that stuff? And
He does this secret finger thing, and then skadoosh, and then he went to the realm. They
Oh,
don't
the
like
spirit
say
realm?
they don't say that then,
okay, gotcha.
but once you watch the whole thing, he gets sent to the spirit realm.
It says Tai Lung was a snow leopard.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for looking that up. So what would you say, Zeke, what was one of your, we'll come back to kind of the main themes and main ideas, but what was one of your favorite parts, Zeke, about the movie?
One of my favorite parts was where he opened the dragon scroll and he's like, it's blank. And he's so confused, but then his father tells him the secret to the noodle soup, also known as ramen, and the father says, there's no secret ingredient. And then he's like, I understand. There's no secret ingredient to the Dragon Warrior. There's no secret ingredient.
So how does that play out? What does that mean?
You just need to believe in yourself.
Okay. So what would make it hard?
There's no shortcut to success.
Possibly. Zeke just shared his things that he liked about the movie. What's one of the parts that you really liked about the first one?
He was trying to help his dad while also train, and yeah,
Why does that stand out to you, do you think?
cause like I'm trying to do my Fortnite career, and then I had to also do the dishes and like stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So it's relatable.
Yeah.
Colton, what about you? What's one of the things that stood out to you about the first movie?
I like the graphics. They're really good for 2008.
What about the movie itself, buddy? What about the story? Why did you you didn't want to watch it and then you watched it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to watch all of them."
Oh, because there was this bad guy that was locked up and they're underestimating him. And then he got out. And it's so funny how, like, he can do anything. He jumped, like, 30 miles somehow with one jump.
The bad guy did? Okay, cool. So you like the bad guy, the villain?
Hmm.
What was it about Poe? What made it so that he could be the Dragon Warrior in the movie?
The chair full of rockets.
Oh yeah.
That made him the Dragon Warrior?
Yeah, because if he didn't go on that chair, then he wouldn't be in the arena and then he couldn't get picked.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's how he got chosen as a Dragon Warrior. Do you really think that's how he got chosen as a Dragon Warrior?
Well, not really.
Explain that.
What if he was the turtle was kind of sensing it, but couldn't know who it was, and then once he got in the arena, he noticed.
I thought it was really more about like determination. He was doing like anything to get in there. And determination is key to be successful. And he was patient and determined to get inside in the arena.
Okay, so he gets in the arena, and then the turtle is like the master, right? He's the master, like the top kung fu trainer and all that stuff. Oogway. So he chooses him, but then is he the Dragon Warrior at that point?
No, he still like has all this other work to do to like fully become Dragon Warrior.
It's not just the fact that he was there. That definitely was the starting point for him getting in the arena. I tend to think too that there was some sort of destiny component to Poe, that he's not just being told, he's not just taking on the title at that point. He's always been the Dragon Warrior. It's always been in there. He just didn't know it yet. Does that sound reasonable based on the story?
It sounds pretty reasonable.
Yeah, because like their history line, like when at the third one they were like healing with their hands, but they didn't know how because it's been a long time.
Yeah. One of the things that stood out to me before was when he, and this happens a lot, it happens, it kind of piggybacks on it in the third movie, where he's learning Kung Fu by kind of doing what he's always been doing. So like the trainer uses food to help motivate him to learn the moves, right? And then that becomes the thing that helps him find his Kung Fu. So anything else, Colton? What about you? What's another thing that you liked about the first movie? What would you say is the main point, the main theme? What's the moral of the first movie? What would you say?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. What do you think, Jacob?
I think the same thing. Yeah,
So explain it. Why is that important?
because everybody is like, it's just a panda. It's not supposed to be the Dragon Warrior. Pick someone else. And then he does all his training and stuff, and then the people finally like find out, oh my goodness, this is like a kung fu master. Like this really is the Dragon Warrior. And so he basically proved everyone wrong after like proving himself worthy.
Nice. So how does that translate to real life for you guys? Can you see the connection between how they played this in the movie and how it might play into our lives in general?
So I read this book and it was Dogman, and I'm like, I don't really think it's gonna be good. But then I ended up reading the entire series. Yeah.
I read the I read the entire series of Diary of the Wimpy Kid because the online books.
Nice. So Colton, what does it mean for you for real life that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover?
Well, there could be like someone who doesn't know how to play basketball, and then
Or looks like they don't?
yeah, it looks like they don't play basketball, and then they beat you, and then you're like, whoa.
I shouldn't have judged a book by its cover.
Like those videos where like someone dresses up as an old man and
Oh,
they
yeah.
go like to a gym and then start like going crazy.
Yeah, they actually did a movie about that called Uncle Drew. Kyrie Irving did some Nike commercials where he dressed up as an old dude and then went out there and dunked on him and stuff. And so then they ended up making a movie, and it had like old Shaq, it had like old Reggie Miller. It was pretty funny. So we might throw that link up in on the Instagram feed this week. So be on the lookout for that. What about you, Jacob? Kind of thinking beyond just maybe just like sports or kung fu or something, like what does it mean to you that we shouldn't judge a book by its cover?
So like whenever you look at a person, you're usually like looking at their face and like how they actually look like physically. But if you go beyond that and like actually learn about their personality and what their likes and dislikes are, you can like truly find out who they are and not just from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, I like that. Connor, what do you think about that? What's an example of that in your life that you've
The like think not good but you actually are good.
mhm.
Not one. So it was a Halloween party and I was gonna race this girl around the track and she was faster than me. And I was like, what? I'm in cross country. How did I lose?
That's awesome.
But she's gonna do track.
Very cool. What about you, Zeke? What's an example of your life where you've experienced that kind of, maybe I shouldn't judge a book by its cover?
So there was this one kid who was really, he looked like really rude, really like just like a chihuahua. He looked no, like he looked like he acted like a chihuahua. He was really small, but he thought he was really big and scary. And I'm like, I better stay away from this kid. I'm gonna get like beat up. And I eventually like talked to him, and he's actually like a tree. He's one with nature, and he's really nice, and he helps all of us. He helps me with like a lot of stuff. Trees help us like breathe and carbon dioxide into oxygen. They really help us.
Very cool. That's nice. I can give an example because this is something that adults still struggle with too, that we judge a book by its cover. And it's easy to look at someone and think they're going to act a certain way because of how they look. And there's a person that I came across that the first time I met him, I thought, this guy isn't going to want anything to do with me. He's not going to want to talk to me. I'm not cool enough to be accepted by him. He's kind of on this other level of awesome and cool that I'm not there. So I'm just going to say hi, and I'm just going to, try and just be nice, but I'm not expecting him to engage with me in a conversations and really dive any deeper as a relationship. But actually it ended up being the opposite, and he's become a pretty good friend. And whenever we get together, he's constantly like asking questions and keeping the conversation going and engaging with trying to understand my life and where I've come from and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool when that happens. So it's a good lesson for all of us to learn. Go ahead and talk through rating. We're going to do our 1 through 5. So let's start with you, Connor. What do you rate in your opinion of Kung Fu Panda 1?
I think this is my favorite one, so I'll rate it a 5.
Okay. What about you, Jacob?
It was good. I think I'll rate it. Let's do 4.
Okay. What about you, Zeke?
It would get like a B minus, so like a 4.25.
Okay. What about you, Colton?
I think 4.
4? Very cool. And I think I would rate it a 4.25 or a 4.5. I think it was really, really good start to the series. Cool. All right, let's jump into Kung Fu Panda 2. So we watched this one last weekend. So who wants to give us the synopsis of how the movie went? What do we?
It was probably already like inferenced by the viewer or whatever, but we learned that Poe's dad, the goose, isn't really his dad, and that his family was actually a lot of his family was killed off by this peacock, and we learned that the peacock is still like trying to get like stronger and stuff, and then he comes for the Poe, and he like battles him.
All right, cool.
They discovered gunpowder and made fireworks, and he used fireworks to attack Poe.
Yeah, and he's trying to take over China, and he knows that in order to take over China, he's got to take down the Dragon Warrior. I think one of the things for me, just real quickly before we jump deeper, is that sometimes in movies it's hard to, in movies like this where it's like a superhero movie or something like Kung Fu Panda, where the first movie is really cool because you get to see them go from not having any skills to then having the skills. I think then the difficult thing is, well, where do you go from there from a story perspective? If they've got all the skills, like how do they progress? And I felt like that this movie did a good job because he didn't lose any skills. He's like actually leading the team. The team is all around him and trusting him. And they get in, they go in, they defend the neighboring villages in the territory that they're supposed to defend. And he's like, they're all working together. Like they didn't lose anything from the first movie is what I mean. Like, it's like, and I felt like they still had a point to get to. They still had another layer of his training that he needed to get to in the second movie to try and take down this bad peacock guy. Hey, Colton, why don't you go ahead and give us the details, who directed it, when it come out, that kind of stuff.
So it was directed by Jennifer Ya Nelson and had the same actors, Jack Black, Angelina Jolie, and was made in 2011 as 7.2.
Okay, cool. Something about the second movie that stands out. What did Poe need to learn in the movie?
He needed to learn how to beat him and like change the fire attack and then fire it back.
He needed to learn how to accomplish inner peace, and Shifu already accomplished inner peace, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good point to call out. So Oogway was the turtle dude. He was like the head guy of this thing. He died in the first movie, right? He went to the spirit realm. And then who's his trainer that's like a little mouse dude?
Shifu.
Shifu, and that's voiced by Dustin Hoffman. So he's been in a lot of movies, Oscar winner. So pretty amazing. And so in this movie, he starts out the movie and he's like, you got to find inner peace. So it makes it so difficult for him to find inner peace. Do you remember in the movie?
It was so hard because he didn't have a lot of pain and suffering, and he also didn't try to, well, he didn't want to just let it happen. He tried to accomplish it really fast as possible, and he then realizes, wait, I have to accomplish inner peace by letting it come to me. And he also suffered a lot, and as he learned that he suffered, he accomplished inner peace even more. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, because he kept on trying to find who his parents were. It was like, who's my real dad?
Yeah, that'd be tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we did find out is that, like Jacob mentioned, his parents, his mom left him in a basket and got away to try and get the bad guys from killing the baby, but then basically took out a bunch of the pandas. So him coming to grips with the fact that he has a parent, but that they left him, or that something bad happened, and then he wants to try and take this group out. I think the five go and try to stop this guy, and then they don't have any success because they wanted Poe to like focus on his inner peace and not fight the guy, because fighting the guy is not a good way to get inner peace, right? So he's trying to do that, and ends up still going and trying to take him out because he thinks I can just do it easily because I'm the Dragon Warrior. But it ends up being more difficult than that. And then towards the end of the movie, he finds the inner peace, which gives him the ability to, like Connor said, throw the fire bombs back at the enemy as they were firing into him. Colton, one of the things that stood out to you about this one, Zeke?
He just like accomplished inner peace by learning how he suffered and trying to figure out who his parents were, and then realizing that his mom died, and then accomplishing inner peace. And I'm like, how does pain and suffering accomplish inner peace? And Shifu said that either you really focus in a cave for 100 years, or you accomplish inner peace by pain and suffering. And I'm like, how does that work? And then when we got further into the movie, I realized, oh, it makes sense.
So how does it make sense for you? Do you feel like you have inner peace, or are you pretty stressed out?
I'd say it's kind of in the middle.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. What about you, Connor? What's something that stood out to you about this movie?
The villains were different, and they were on like the mountain. They were on a mountain whenever they were fighting the first time, and I thought that was weird because I thought normally it was like a village, and that part seemed like a different village.
Yeah, a different part of the Japan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. China. Sorry, yeah, China. What about you, Jacob? What's something that stood out to you about this movie?
Probably just like, no matter like what you go through, like you can always find a way to put it to good use. So like he found out that like his whole entire like race basically was almost wiped out, and he finds out that like that's his pain and suffering. So like what Zeke was saying about what Shifu said, like you have to have like pain and suffering in order to truly find inner peace.
What is that? How does that make you feel? Like, that sounds kind of backwards, doesn't it?
If you had pain, then wouldn't that make you sad and not have inner peace?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I think is that in order to truly find like inner peace with the pain and suffering and stuff, the pain and suffering is like the worst of the worst. And if you get out of that and then you truly find the best of the best, you know, like that's the best. And you don't want to go back to feeling bad because you're feeling really good. Like having the inner peace and stuff, that like there's a bigger contrast than if you feel good all the time, then you don't really know what inner peace is because you have it all the time.
That's a really good point. Has anybody else? Do you feel like you have inner peace, Connor?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Super chill?
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, I think I'm getting the hang of it. Yeah.
What about you, Colton? Do you feel like you have inner peace, or are you pretty anxious inside?
Not really.
Why do you think that is?
There's just so much work to finish, and then I just came back from being sick, so I still am catching up on stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just so much, and I have to practice every day.
Mm-hmm. So these are tasks that you have to complete. It's a lot of tasks you have to complete for school and band.
Mm-hmm.
So Jacob has the same tasks. Connor has the same tasks, except for band, but he has schoolwork and stuff. So how can you explain to him what you feel like about inner peace and how you have inner peace even though you have all those busy tasks?
I don't know. I'd just be good in class, and like the teachers don't get mad at me, and I don't get homework because I just do it in class. I do my work fast but correct, and then I have time to do homework, and I don't have to do it at home.
Yeah. What about you, Jacob?
Honestly, I'm not even really that like attracted to free time because um because I'm so used to like having all this work to do. Like I have to practice every day, and then I have a whole bunch of extra schoolwork, and then I have basketball stuff too. It's just free time doesn't really seem that fun anymore because I'm having fun doing all these other things. Like
So, and I do want to mention too, like I think those are good things, like ways to find happiness and joy in the midst of the task and the busyness, and how to find that stuff. I think the thing that I want to make sure we connect the dot on is that no matter no matter what's happened to us, so that's Poe's story, right? Went through all this pain and suffering, orphaned as a kid, grows up in a village with parents, finds out all this stuff about his past. He goes through all that. He has to feel all those feelings, just like the stuff that we go through, stuff that happens to us, something that's happened in our past that's made us sad. We have to find our way through that. But the things that happen to us, and then the things that we have to do, in the midst of all of that, what we need to try to find is to find a balance and to find the peace inside, that no matter what stress is happening to us, no matter what we have to do, that we can still be at ease and not anxious about it, and recognize that we're okay even in the midst of all of this, that we're going to be okay. And so for me, that's kind of where the inner peace comes from. And even as an adult, we go through stuff that's tough and it's sad. And sometimes our inner peace is rocked and we have to find it again. So that's just another life lesson. And I think for me, we're going to get to the third movie here pretty quickly, but for me, I feel like these are really, really good life lessons in these movies that I wasn't expecting to get from Kung Fu Panda with Jack Black, because Jack Black is silly and it's funny and it's a kid's show, but man, there's some really, really deep stuff. Anything else about Kung Fu Panda 2 that somebody wants to say?
If you can't accomplish inner peace, then just don't try.
Let her go, please. Let her go.
And just don't try to accomplish inner peace. Instead, let it come to you.
Yeah. It's hard to do, but that's what the movie is trying to tell us, and I think it's something that we can strive for, like in not doing, just relaxing and letting it come. I can understand that. Okay, so let's rate Kung Fu Panda 2. Colton, why don't you go first?
This was my least favorite out of all the Kung Fu Panda movies, so I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay, that's fair.
I give it a 3.8.
Okay.
I feel like it was kind of boring,
Okay.
but the character was cool.
Nice.
I gave it a 3.5. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it still had some qualities that made it good.
Cool. What about you, Zeke?
I'll give it a 5 out of 5. It was really good.
All right, sounds good. I think I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. I definitely feel like it wasn't as consistent as the first one, but I feel like that the message was still there and the message still came through. So, all right, cool. Let's jump to Kung Fu Panda 3. We just watched this one as of the recording of this. We watched this a few days ago, and so we've had time to resonate with it. Who wants to share the main story, kind of the story point for Kung Fu Panda 3?
It was a lot about how Poe learned about Chi, and how he tried to be a master of Chi, and he suddenly finds that, spoiler alert, his father does not know how to master Chi, and neither do any of the pandas, except for Poe, who discovers it later on.
Right. So there's a lot to unpack there. So we find out that that his dad shows up out of nowhere, and then his dad tells him, "Hey, I can teach you Chi." That's the lesson that Shifu was giving him this time. So the first movie, you just got to become the Dragon Warrior. Second movie, you got to find inner peace. Third movie, the task is you got to learn how to master Chi. And Chi is that kind of inner power inside a Kung Fu master. And I think that it's an idea of, if we could translate it kind of to the way that we think about things in the West, or even in Christianity, like it's just the inner strength that we have, and how to embrace that, and how to use that energy for good. Okay, so just kind of think of it in those terms. But for the movie's sake, yeah. So his dad says, "Hey, I can teach you how to do inner chi because the pandas used to be great at it." We find out that the Uguay trained with the pandas, right? All that stuff. So it's given us some backstory to all this. So that's pretty cool. How does the story progress, Jacob?
So Poe finds out that his dad doesn't really know how to do chi, and that none of the pandas do, and he's just lost, and like he's upset that his dad lied to him, and he comes back and tries to like train all the other pandas, because there's this other bad guy.
Also, his dad beat his dumpling record.
Oh, right.
How
Yeah.
many dumplings he could fit in his mouth.
So Poe then starts training the pandas to become good at kung fu with skills that they already know, because there's this bad guy, Kai. His name's Kai, and he's trying to come and finish what the peacock started and kind of like destroy all the pandas again. We find out that Kai condensed kind of the powers that every other like kung fu master had, and so Poe tries to counteract that and train all the pandas that are just pandas to be good at kung fu. So there's these little kids that have fun with like kicking these rocket things, and they just kick it from foot to foot, and he trains them to like aim it at bad guys and kick them at the bad guys. And then there's this one like twirler dancer, and she uses nunchucks instead of the ribbon dancing to like get some dudes.
Yeah, that's cool. What was your favorite, Colton?
The huggy guy.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Zeke.
Because he likes to hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's a really cool training montage. That whole scene where he's trying to get the pandas to become warriors, reminds me of a movie that you guys haven't seen called The Three Amigos. And it's very much like that. They have to try, in order to take down the bad guy, they have to make everybody in the entire village dress like the Three Amigos to try and distract them, to try and take them down. And so it's very similar to that. So the bad guy, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, Jacob, the bad guy is basically harnessing the chi of all the kung fu masters, and then he can use that chi he can use that chi as a jade version of that kung fu master, and then he can manipulate that kung fu master in real life. So he's like trying to gather all, and the only person that can defeat him is someone who's mastered chi. So that's why he's coming after the Dragon Warrior, coming after Poe, because that's the last kung fu person that he hasn't taken out yet. And everybody hopes that he can do it, but he hasn't mastered chi yet.
Also, Poe's father beat Poe's dumpling eating record. How many dumplings he could fit in his mouth and then try to swallow it.
I know, buddy. You already said that.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you already said that.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right. So I didn't want to give it away. Connor, can you explain what was the moment that he realized he could train all of them to be kung fu masters? What was the turning point for him? Do you remember?
Which, like, whenever he was being a teacher?
Mm-hmm. Because he was trying to be a teacher to the 5, and he was doing very bad. But then what does he do? What changes? There's a light switch that goes off in his head, and he says something very important to the pandas. You remember?
No.
Well, there was when the tigress girl came over and was like, "Oh, everybody's down." Oh, and then what's that Shifu guy was down too. So, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and he was like, "I have to train everybody."
Okay. Yep. So what was the turning point that he could train everybody? Because they'd never done kung fu before. What happened? What did he say? What did he realize?
I don't know.
He uses the strengths that they already have and kind of manipulate it into some kung fu moves.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's definitely how the training happens. But he says a quote, he says a phrase that I think I'm trying to get at that really stuck out. So here's what happened. The whole time when he's trying to do chi, he's trying to find chi, he's trying to make, when he's training them, he's trying to make them be like him. Remember that? Mm-hmm. He's trying to make the 5 fight like Po. Po is trying to make them more like him. But when he's with these pandas and he realizes they've never done kung fu, the switch flips and he realizes and he says it out loud. He says, I don't need to make you like me. I need to train you to be you.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's the turning point. And so that's when that's manifested in the way that he trains them to use the things that they're already good at as fight moves so that they can take down the bad guy. But I think the key, kind of the more spiritual nature of that is powerful. That we would that when we're trying to teach someone or we're trying to grow in our life, we're not trying to be like somebody else. So we've talked about this with basketball, right, Jacob? Mm-hmm. So like you're not trying to be the next Kobe, you're not trying to be the next Luka, you're trying to be the best
Jacob.
That's right. So in anything, us as parents, we're not trying to make you like us. Okay? We are trying to make you be the best you that you can be. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So how can we apply that? Does anybody have an example of where we can apply the desire to, or maybe an example of where you felt like in life that you wanted to try to be like somebody else? Is there somebody that you've tried to be like in life? Maybe somebody at school or an adult, somebody that you want to be like them?
So there's this guy I follow, Matty K, and I wanted my setup to look like his, but
your PC setup?
Yeah, but I realized he has some pretty expensive stuff, and I didn't have the money, so it doesn't look like his, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Zeke? Have you ever felt like pressured to try to be like somebody else?
One time I played soccer, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get in the game. And I tried, and I just thought, I'm like, hey, why am I trying to be like Ronaldo? I'm myself. I don't have to be good at the game, but I can still have fun just being myself.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing to know. What about you, Colton? What's an example where you've had that feeling?
So whenever I was like outside a couple days ago, I thought I was him. So in the middle of the game, the hoop was like really low, like 7'5".
You thought you were who?
I thought I was him.
Who's him?
Just like
the cool kid.
It's just like saying as like the best person ever. Like say Michael Jordan is him.
Okay.
So I tried to be him, and I tried to dunk on Orhan, but the ball ended up on like the way other side because the ball didn't go in the hoop. It touched the rim because I'm not tall enough and I can't jump high enough to dunk. So yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I lost the ball.
You lost it?
Well, I lost the possession.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay, so that's not a bad example when you think about it. We can always try to there's always a good thing to try and make ourselves better and to try to maybe look to someone else and emulate them to try and make ourselves better. But the key is to recognizing that we aren't trying to be them. It's not, if we fail at being them, that's okay. Because we're really, our task is to try to be the best version of ourselves. And that's something that we say around the house a lot, right? Like the things that we do, the rules that we have set in place, the guidelines we have, the way that we try to make sure that you guys pick up after yourselves, that you clean the house when you need to, that we all share the dishes responsibility, is all so that you can become fully functioning people in the world. And we're not trying to make you be like me. Like I as much as I love, the fact that Jacob plays basketball, I'm not trying to make him live up to things that I failed at or anything like that. I just see potential. I'm trying to encourage that. Same thing with Connor and your PC stuff, like the fact that you can take these ideas, take these things you've seen, and something that you want to have available to you, and you just make it work. You figure it out. You use Legos, or you use cardboard, or you use your phone or your computer and all that stuff, and you utilize that. So you don't have to be like Jacob. I don't need you to play basketball and be heavy into sports like that. You can be the best version of yourself, and that's cool.
One time I really wanted some pedals for like my game, and then I made some out of Legos that worked.
Yeah, the racing game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to. Did we get a picture of that? I think Mom did.
I got a keyboard and Legos, and I went in the settings and changed it to where you push a key and it would make it accelerate, brake, or clutch.
Yeah.
It wasn't really good because it would break a lot, so I just gave up on it.
Yeah,
But
Legos aren't meant for that, but it was cool to see you put the effort in.
I did make an emergency brake, and I still have that.
Very cool. I'm excited for you to get your actual wheel and pedals
Yeah.
for your birthday.
Wait, it's 8 more days.
Yes, and I think that by the time this episode airs, you would have already had your birthday. Pretty cool. The goal in life is not to be like someone else. We can use that as an inspiration, like Kobe Bryant. We aren't asking anybody in this room to be Kobe Bryant, but his work ethic is definitely something we should all strive for, and the way that he put effort in to become the best version of himself. Sounds good, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so before we jump into ratings, rating it ourselves, let's get at least a touch on, because it's a lot of the same cast, but let's touch on the director, the year it came out, and kind of if there's anybody new.
The director is Alessandro Carloni and one other, and it was made in 2016, and it's PG, so you can watch it.
Who played the dad? Because he's new.
The dad is Bryan Cranston, the same actor as Walter White from Breaking Bad.
We need to cook.
Y'all are crazy.
Let him cook.
And nobody in this family under the age of 18 has seen Breaking Bad, but they act like they have.
Ohio,
cool.
Sigma.
All right, so let's jump into the ratings then. What do you give Kung Fu Panda 3, Connor?
I give it. Gotta think about this one. I give it a 4.
Cool. Colton?
4.6.
Okay. Jacob?
Definite 5.
Nice. And Zeke?
Same.
All right. Very cool. Well, that was a Kung Fu Panda series. Yeah.
What'd you get?
I rated it a 4.5. Yeah. I thought it was really good. It was a good story, good moral, all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what the next one is. Comes out this Friday. So go out and see it. Support the cinema. Don't just sit at home on your butt. Go to the theater.
Don't get it for free. Go to the movie theater.
Go to the movie theater. Yes, get the popcorn, get the soda. What's your favorite snack for a movie theater?
Definitely movie nachos. They're so good, dude.
What about you, Zeke?
Candy.
Colton?
Candy, but specifically Milk Duds.
Milk Duds? Connor?
Milk Duds.
Milk Duds? Y'all like the Milk Duds? I didn't even know that. That's cool.
Specifically the cookie dough bites.
Those are baller. Cool. Well, that'll do it for today. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs.
Oh, thank you so much again for listening to the podcast. I tell you what, I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. It was such a fun time talking to the boys about all those movies and kind of hearing their take on things and hearing what they learned from it. It just was so much fun as a dad to have my sons engaged with this and being able to have these conversations. It's just, I'm so proud of them. And I hope that you are having a lot of fun with it as well. I did want to let you guys know that upcoming, we've got another episode dropping this week, which is going to be our Oscars episode. Oscars are coming this Sunday night. March 10th. And so my wife Kristen and I, we have done an episode that is basically highlighting the Oscars. We really focused on Best Picture nominees. We watched all of those movies, and at least we watched most of them together. There's one that she didn't really want to see, Poor Things, that I watched, so I'll be commenting on that. But be sure to check out that episode. It should be dropping on Wednesday of this week, and that's where we'll kind of talk about the Oscars and what's upcoming, and then we'll probably talk about some other categories as well, about what we think, who we think might win, who we think should win, and all that stuff. So be sure to check that out. Next Monday is going to be a special episode because they released kind of alongside the release of Dune Part 2. Christopher Nolan, who's really good friends with Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune Part 2, they did a re-release of Tenet, which was one of his films that came out kind of right after COVID. Movie theaters were just opening up, and so they never really got to put this on the screens that he really wanted to, and so they're kind of doing that again. So they re-released it in 70mm IMAX, which is what you would kind of traditionally see when you went to an IMAX screen at a museum or something. It would be the full 4-story, 40-foot tall screen. Oppenheimer last year was released on that format as well, so they re-released Tenet a few weeks ago. Jacob and I got to see that, and so we're going to just have a conversation, the two of us. That's going to drop next Monday, so I hope you enjoyed that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Christopher Nolan is one of the best directors around right now. He directed The Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, those movies. But outside of that, there's so much more that he's offered us. Oppenheimer, which I'm hoping that he wins the Oscar for Best Director. That would be amazing. It would be his first, I believe. So, but also things like Interstellar or The Prestige or Inception. I mean, these movies they've been grabbing our imagination and just running wild with it forever. So it'll be exciting to kind of get Jacob's take on that movie because it is a mind twister, absolutely, and we'll be excited to share more on next Monday's episode. So until then, keep watching movies.